You're listening to Real Table Talk with Leah Renee, presented by the 419 Grind. Hello, it's your girl, Miss Leah Renee, the one and only, and we are back with another episode of Real Table Talk with Leah Renee. Thank you for tuning in again. And I'm sitting down with the ever so intelligent Dr. Brehon Hall. Thank you for sitting down with me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you coming in. For those of you who don't know, I was on Dr. Hall's show. Dr. Hall has his own podcast. First of all, before I go into that, tell them about your podcast, because you have your own podcast.
Yeah, so it's called After Dark, and it was birthed literally out of nowhere. We were sitting in my office one night after Bible study, and we decided to do something after, and we said, let's call this After Dark. And then a brother of mine, Al Bannister, said, let's make it a whole show, and so we did. And After Dark is not a long, it's not been around a long time. Mm-hmm. It's actually only about 12 or 13 weeks. But we've managed to put it out there and put it around the world. And right now it's being watched in 13 countries. So we're excited about it.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yes, we're excited about it.
And I like the concept, like the After Dark. I like that concept. So when you guys were sitting there and you decided, let's do this show, was that because like after service you guys have... What were you doing in that instant? Or do you guys meet after service every time? Or
no. So the reason we call it After Dark is because there's so many podcasts that happens, especially within this church arena, mm-hmm. that has a propensity of bringing out all of the negativity that we see in churches or in the world, especially in the African American community. So we decided to put something out. First of all, we call it After Dark because it's dark when mm-hmm. you shoot it. It's at night.
Right.
But then secondly, we call it After Dark because everyone has a dark side, and we don't wish to talk about the dark side of people. We wish to talk about the after dark side of people.
Okay, yeah.
We want to bring things to light. So we're not spending our time talking about the latest rumor, the latest tabloid. We want to bring everything positive to the table, so we call it After Dark.
I love that. And so, speaking of positivity, you guys are over there. Dr. Brehon Hall is the pastor at Greater New Psalmist Church on Glendale Avenue here in Toledo, and I've been over there helping out a lot because they do a giveaway every week. And when I found out about it, he was telling me, you can come here and pick up this food for your children, and I was like, well, I'd rather help, like,
yeah,
not to say it like that, but we're not that much in need, so I felt like, let's save it for the people who really are in need, but I would love to help. So we, ever since that day, I've been coming up, going up there as often as I can to help out with the food giveaway. So I think that's just a great thing that you guys are doing in the community because you don't have to do it, and with the pandemic going on right now, there are a lot of people who are struggling to feed their families. So I just think that that's a really great thing that you guys are doing in the community, and that's why I chose to commit my time because, it's such a positive thing. So what made you want to start doing that? So,
of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and with that being said, we decided to do some things somewhat creative. In the early onset of the pandemic, we did what was called a pizza drive-through, a pizza party drive-through. So awesome. We gave out over 100 pizzas. We partnered with Pathway for Successful Leadership, Inc. Tyra Smith is the CEO. Pitched the idea to her. She jumped on board, and then we got connected with Jet's Pizza. It was phenomenal. And after that, we just began to do just creative things. We wanted to make sure that the church was visible. So often, when things happen in the community, you hear the word or the words of people like, where is the church?
Right.
So we decided to make ourselves visible, viable, and yet valuable in our community. So we did the pizza giveaway. We've been doing the food drive. We've done a ride out with the bishop. That was fun. We just rode around the city and just blessed people. We were giving out gift cards to Texas Roadhouse and COVID kits with hand sanitizer, mask, and we just enjoy blessing people. The reality is that a church is not a church until it moves outside of the walls of the church. And I'm not so spiritual that I forget where we have come from and where we need to be. And the church needs to be not within the euphoric walls of the church, but the church needs to be outside of the walls, doing stuff that's positive and going places where other people wouldn't go.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's funny that you mentioned that a second ago. You said so many people say, where is the church?
Where is the church?
I'll be honest. I was one of those people. I said to myself, you know, and not even necessarily about local churches, because I do know, you know, even my mom, I've shared with you, I've grown up in First Church of God, and my mom does a lot of work over there, and they do a lot in the community. So I'm not saying that, you know, our local churches, I was more or less kind of mentioning the fact that there are all these, you know, these pastors of these big mega churches that have, you know, all this money. And it's like, you know, if even, you know, 10 of them came together and put up, you know, a couple million, that would be a very large number, you know?
Yeah.
So I was one of those people.
You know, one of those things that happen is we have to understand something, Leah Renee, and you're probably a part of a crowd that thinks the same way. People don't equal money.
Right.
And so because you see thousands of people in a room doesn't necessarily mean there's thousands of dollars in that room, because there are persons that go to churches, especially in some of these neo-Pentecostal churches where you have first-generational churchgoers. People are not so apt to just give their money to the church, and a lot of people don't have money. And so when you are a ministry trying to do good, you try to find alternative ways to be a blessing. And we found some creative ways to, you know, bless people. Of course, it takes money to do that, but we've been fortunate enough to think outside the box and become freedom thinkers so that we could do that in lieu of the monetary things that could come and be a blessing to other people.
That's amazing. I like that answer. Okay, so that kind of leads me into my next question then. So with you being a pastor and having a ministry and, you know, trying to do all the work that you do within the community, what do you find is your biggest challenge?
Waking up every day and going to do the same thing. My biggest challenge is, what am I going to do different today than I did yesterday? Mm-hmm. My competition is not the church next door. I want that church to be a partner with me.
Right.
My competition is not the pastor across town. I want that guy to be a partner with me. My competition is the person that I was yesterday. I don't compete with anyone. I compete with Brehon, because if Bree can get it right, then the entire world can get it right. I can't be a helper to anybody else when I'm struggling with who I am. And believe it or not, a lot of people see the polished guy today, but this polished guy today had to go through some stuff to become the guy that I am. And I'm grateful for the testimony that I have. That's why I never look down on people, because I know it just was a few years ago when I was there. I was the person that people were looking at like, nah, he's not going to survive. He's not going to make it. But God is a God of another chance.
Amen. I know that's right. So what do you find that you have to do to overcome that challenge of fighting, you know?
Just keep pushing. I've been doing a series entitled Kissing Your Past Goodbye.
Yes, I've been following it closely.
You were really inspirational to me for that.
Yes, so let me stop you. So for those of you who don't know what Dr. Hall is talking about, make sure you go over to Dr. Brehon Hall's Facebook page and
Brehon Hall Ministries.
Brehon Hall Ministries. And make sure you guys check out his videos, his sermons, and his After Dark show, because he's been giving some really powerful words. I've been following it definitely, because it's definitely applied to my life. That's for sure.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah. And so one of the things that I do is just keep pushing. You cannot allow yourself to become inundated with the drudgery of your yesterday, that you forget that you still got today to live for. And too often we get stuck in our past, and our past continues to haunt us, and we never move outside that box because we are afraid. And that's for any person in any spectrum. I'm not talking about just church. I'm writing a book entitled In Pursuit of a Better Me, and believe it or not, while it's written by a pastor, it's not written for the church. I'm writing another book entitled Cultivating Cultural Change, and while it's written by a pastor, it's not written for the church. It's written for those outside the church. God has given me some great relationships with persons outside of church, and believe it or not, several artists who live in Atlanta call me their spiritual covering, persons who are in Hollywood, and persons who are in several spectrums of life, whether professional sports or what have you. And I find myself being drawn to people who are real versus those that are in the church that, continue with this facade of how wonderful and prolific and great they are. So the book In Pursuit of a Better Me is a book where we're pursuing ourselves. We're not pursuing relationship. We're not pursuing a man or woman. We're not pursuing a job. We are pursuing that person that we know lives inside of us. There is something in the deoxyribonucleic acid of our cells, in our DNA, that produces change, and we don't have to look for it from anyone else. And so In Pursuit of a Better Me is going to be a great piece, a great tool for the CEO of 419 The Grind, for the person who is on Wall Street, the person who's the president of the bank, and it's also going to bless the pastor of the church. Cultivating cultural change is just that. How do you change the paradigm in which you are living instead of you always talking about how bad it is? And Toledo's very notorious for that, talking about how bad the city is. And we're hearing this now with the murders in Toledo. Oh, Toledo's horrible. Toledo's this. Well, Toledo's no worse than any other city in urban America. It's just now being magnified. And we've got to do something to cultivate change. We cannot, because if you're not a part of change, here's the reality is you are a part of the problem. And most people don't come to that kind of resolve because they're always talking about how bad it is. I got to get out of Toledo. Well, you're only going to go to another city, take you with your negative attitude and find the same doggone thing in Atlanta that you found in Toledo.
So true.
And we need to stop going to Atlanta anyway because Atlanta's becoming a little Toledo. So anyway, that's...
So true. So true. Okay. So I like that you mentioned that because I was, and actually shout out to my girl Liz who's in the building.
Hey, Liz.
My girl Liz is all the way from D-Town. Yeah, another D-Towner.
Detroit. This is Detroit month.
So she came in.
Detroit.
She came in to, sit in while we're doing this. But, me and her, we were just sitting in my driveway talking before we came here. And I was talking literally about what you just said, basically. I just said, it's just crazy because I've never been at a point in my life where I am now. Like, I'm 37 and it's taken me 37 years to get here, but I'm finally at that place where
people on my staff swear you're 17, but go ahead.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I'm finally at a place where I'm okay with just being with me. Like I was telling her, I would love to have a husband. Yeah, I would love to have a relationship. But if that happens, it happens. And if it don't, it don't. I'm not looking for it right now. And so I think that's when God brings you the best things in your life is when you aren't looking for them and when you are just literally focusing in and you have tunnel vision and you're focusing in not just on yourself because it's not about us and what we want to do, but when you're focused in on his purpose and what he wants you to do.
Right. What's amazing is that two halves don't make a whole. And too often we want another half. I want to get my better half so we can be whole. If you need another person to make you whole, you need to stay your little half self by yourself and just wait until you become whole so you can be a blessing to somebody. Don't go into a relationship being a burden. You want him to bring everything to the table and you bringing nothing.
Right.
You will never, I tell this to ladies in our church, I said, you will never become married until you first become single.
I know that's right.
Okay, we'll do that at another time. But you will not get married until you first get single. Right. And sometimes you have to divorce every person that you've ever been intimate with, every person you've ever had a relationship with, every person you ever told you loved, every person you said you want to marry. You got to go back one by one and divorce them. And the reason why there are a whole lot of incredible women that are single is because single and not married is because they ain't single yet.
I know
they still have those ties. It's called ungodly soul ties that they got to break.
Dr. Hall, I was just talking about that in my live today.
See, look at that.
Did you see my live?
I have not seen it, but I'm going to go watch it.
I was just talking about
we're on
that
the same page.
in my live today.
See what happened when you hang close to me? It starts to rub off.
Yes, you've rubbed off on me, I guess. I'll definitely give you the credit because that didn't come from me. But no, that was something else that we were talking about. Me and my girl Liz, we were just catching up because it's been a while since I've seen her. So I was telling her, like, my phone is so dry right now.
Right.
I don't got nobody calling me because I done cut everybody off.
That's a good place to be.
I told her, I said, it's not even that I cut people off. I just told people what I was on now, and they cut me off.
Yeah, like, they ain't ready to hear that.
They ain't ready for that. They don't want to hear it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you got to be okay.
Good day and good night and good life, and that's just what it is. So when people aren't on your path and when you get to that place where you're trying to, as you put it, leave your past behind.
Right.
And what you said in your second installment was that's when the past comes back and tries to fight you, because what I've noticed is that because I'm trying to become a better woman, people constantly want to remind you of who you used to be, as if that has some sort of relevance on today. And it doesn't. So talk about that.
So you will always have your past coming to fight you. And there's some people who did not know how wonderful they had it until they lost you. And there are people who will always try to come back in your life. Some people are like wisdom teeth. Wisdom teeth, they come in late, they squeeze in, and they're not good for anything. You have to end up extracting them. So you've got some wisdom teeth relationships where people are trying to squeeze into spots, trying to come in and fit where they don't belong. They showed up late. They waited until you got to where you are. And now they're causing you nothing but pain and anguish and hurt. You're taking medicine to try to get over it. You're trying to dope yourself to keep yourself calm. You're trying to keep yourself collective when you're going through hell, and it's hurting you. And the only way you can get rid of the hurt is you got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of the wisdom teeth relationship. Somebody look at me.
That's a word for somebody.
You
That's a
get
word
rid
for
of
somebody.
the wisdom teeth relationships, because if you don't, it's going to cause you pain. It's going to cause you swelling. You're going to get infected by it, and you're going to find yourself going through the motion of crying every single day because this thing that came late squoze into a spot. Now it's causing you pain. It didn't even fit. It's just trying to come up in there, and now you got to go and get rid of it.
Right.
So in life, we find ourselves going through several stages, and one is who are we? And after we discover who we are, then who is the next person that's trying to get with me? Who are you? And once you find out that person, you discover who you are, and then the two of you can somehow congeal together to become one, but only until you are proof positive enough that you are enough by yourself. And somebody needs to get that, because too often we lose sight of who we are by chasing somebody who could care less about what your future holds.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, so we didn't come to have church. We came to have a good time tonight.
Ooh, that's the truth, though. So that leads me now into my next question, because it's so funny, because every time you give me an answer, you kind of segue me into my next question. So how important do you feel it is to find what we call purpose, and what it is? What is your advice to people who haven't found their purpose?
So the French word for purpose is raison d'etre. You got to find your reason for being. And too often in life, we spend our lives going in what I call a whirlwind, in this vacuum system that tries to suck us up and take all the life out of us, or that tries to make us what it wants us to be. When you find purpose, you will find life. Until you find what your purpose is, you will never be able to fulfill anything else in life. Your purpose is not designed to make other people happy. Your purpose is designed to, one, please God. That's according to Scripture. We were created for His pleasure and glory. I didn't come to preach the Bible tonight, but that's what we were called. That's what we were created for His pleasure and glory. Once we find purpose in God, then what is our purpose here on earth? What were we defined to do? I did something a few weeks ago. Y'all go watch it on Brehon Hall Ministry. I called it, I was born for this. And you got to figure out what it is that you were born for. Why are you here, rather than just taking space on earth? We can just go and do away with you. If you have no purpose, you're just taking up space. But why are you on earth? Why are you still here? And what is your purpose beyond driving a nice, I thought, I used to think that, okay, once I make a 6-digit income, man, I'm the man. I got it. Once I drive a certain kind of car, I got it. Once I live in a certain kind of house, I got it. And when you get all of that and you have still not found your purpose, you're still just living in a life lifeless.
Okay, so let's just go a little bit deeper into that, because I know that some of my listeners may be listening and they may not totally understand what exactly you're talking about, because maybe they think purpose is success, or maybe they think their purpose is the job, the career that they work so hard for, or, so what is the difference between purpose and maybe say success, or,
Yeah, it's totally different. Purpose is when you have found value within yourself. Success is when you have allowed value to be created by somebody else. When they can say and look at you and say, oh, you're successful. Success is not a commodity that you pick up. Success is something that's drenched inside of you. So you got to know that you're successful before you become successful.
Right.
You are already there. I was made for this. I was already that. See, a wife is not a wife when she gets married. She's not a wife. She's a wife before she gets married. A husband is not a husband when he takes a bride. He's a husband prior to. So you don't marry a boyfriend, you marry a husband. You don't marry a girlfriend, you marry a wife. So that person is already there. A person who is an entrepreneur while he's still working at Chrysler.
Right.
A person who is a CEO while he's still working at Walmart. So we have to understand how powerful we are and see ourselves outside that paradigm and understand I'm not going to be here forever. So you got to create dreams. You got to follow it. And once you follow it, you got to then allow nothing to get in your way so that you begin to move outside the parameter of your fear. You don't fear the obstacles. You focus on the opportunities, and then you have faith for the outcome.
I love that. I love it. Woo,
Let the church say amen.
Okay, so for people who have not found their purpose, what do you think? What would you say to them? Like if someone's listening and they're thinking like, okay, I get it. I understand what he's saying now. That purpose is, but I don't think I found mine.
No, they found it. They found it because purpose is not outside of you. Purpose is internal. So you just got to spend more time with yourself. So what God does is God isolates you away from people. I love it when God puts you in a place. See, there can never be elevation without isolation. So you have to go through that period of being isolated, and you got to be okay with you. You got to like you got to like going to dinner by yourself, getting a table for one, going to dinner by yourself. You got to like going to the movies by yourself. You got to like going home, kissing yourself good night, and going to bed with you. You got to like you. You got to fall in love with yourself. Now, there's a thin line between arrogance and assurance, and people don't understand that. So some people who are just assured about who they are, they come off as being arrogant, but they're not arrogant. They're just confident. So when you have confidence in you, you'll be able to create that purpose inside of you that causes change outside of you. The only way we can become what we need to become is when we begin to look at ourselves and say, this is not what I was created for. Purpose comes out of passion. Passion comes out of going through peculiar places where you were almost destroyed, but you didn't let it take you out. You decided to push your way through it. So whatever pandemic that you've been through in your own personal life, you push through the pandemic, you quarantine yourself, and then you say, all right, on the other side of this, something's going to be much better.
I like that. So what you're saying is that first you must find that wholeness within yourself. You have to find you. You have to find you.
Yes.
You have to know who you are. You have to know what you stand for. You have to know what you will and will not tolerate. And then also you have to be willing to follow God.
Yeah.
And, because he's the one that gave us our purpose. So he's the one that put us on this earth to do whatever it is that we're here to do. So you're saying that we must first find ourselves and be in tune with ourselves. Then we must get in tune with God. And then that purpose is
let nothing distract you.
And then that's when we will find our purpose, because because basically what I've learned and what I've as I've gotten closer to God, I've realized that he told me what my purpose was a long time ago. I just didn't understand what he was saying back then, or I didn't hear him because, I had too much distraction going on. So now I get it. And now I know what my purpose is. And I'm like, wow, it was that voice I've been hearing all along. So if you're out there and you feel like you don't know what your purpose is, and you're confused, you're lost, you're feeling like, what are they talking about? I don't know why I'm here. I don't know, I'm just working a job every day. I'm just going to work. I'm just getting by. I don't know why I'm still here. You must listen to that voice inside of you, because that voice inside of you that's talking to you, that's telling you to do the right thing, that's telling you to open that business, write that book, start that brand, that's more than likely God talking to you. And you've kept ignoring him. You've been ignoring him because you're scared out of fear. We have failure.
A propensity of doing that. We ignore not just God, we ignore the signs of God. And we move with such fear and trembling of our own selves. And here's what is amazing is that most people are afraid of success. They say they want it, but they are afraid of it. So we run from it rather than running to it, because we've already psychologically told ourselves it's too much. This is too good to be true. So this is not happening for me.
I do that all the time too. That's crazy. So yeah. Well, so what do you have coming up?
So listen, we're trying to get through this pandemic. We were going to do a white party. I had something called Jazz on the Patio. I'm one of those out of the box kind of pastors, man. I know people will call me the Antichrist And most super religious people will say that he
No.
ain't even saved. He's anti-God. But we were going to do something called Jazz on the Patio. I got Arthur Bishop and some guys to come together. It's a band called Four Piece. They bad.
Wow.
And they were going to perform on the patio of our church. It was going to be a white party. And we had a DJ coming. We had the band was going to play, and we moved it. We moved it from July to September, and now we've kind of postponed it until next year. But we've done, Greater has done some crazy.
And you
stuff.
guys have the first
the first Sunday in September, we're doing the white party outside. It's our first Sunday back on campus, but not in the building. And so I need everybody from around the world, my Detroiters, my people from Kentucky and Maryland and everywhere who watch us, come to be with us on the first Sunday in September. Man, it's going to be off the chain. But
and so it's going to be right out in the parking lot, right?
It's going to be on the lawn.
On the lawn.
On the
so
lawn.
there you go. You guys can still social distance.
We in the suburbs. We're on the lawn.
Yes, I'm sorry, the lawn. Still wearing masks, right?
Still wearing masks.
Wearing
and
masks,
the
social
chairs will be
distancing.
6 feet apart. Sit with people you came with and enjoy yourself.
Awesome. That's amazing. I'll definitely be there. And it's funny, that's my son's birthday. September 1st is my son's birthday. So.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if it's the first. Is it September 1st?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't
even know the date, but I know it's the first
Sunday.
The first Sunday in September.
Okay. So there you guys have it. First Sunday in September. Greater New Psalmist Church will be back on campus, outdoors on the lawn.
On the lawn.
And still be able to social distance. The chairs will be 6 feet apart, and everyone will still be wearing masks. Come out and have a good time. Are you guys going to be doing, is there going to be other stuff? I thought I remembered you telling me there was going to be different things there that day.
It's going to be a lot of things there that day. One of the things I want to do is empower people. And so we've done things like had job fairs there. We're going to do a job fair in October. We're going to do something called Kicking It. We can't give you all of our secrets away, but it's something called Kicking It that we're going to do in October. And for those of you that are real churchy, this probably ain't for you, but it's called Kicking It, and it's going to be fun. We'll tell you about it later. It's called Kicking It.
All right. I like that. I like that idea.
Liz, it's called Kicking It.
I like that idea. Okay, so for everybody listening on my platform who's just now meeting you for the first time, let them know where they can find you.
3251 Glendale Avenue in person. Brehon Hall Ministries on Facebook. Dr. _ Brehon _ Hall on Instagram. I don't know what Twitter is and all the other stuff, but just find us. Greater New Psalmist Baptist Church on Facebook and whatever else it is. Follow Leah Renee and you'll find me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Listen, this is unusual for me because I'm the one asking the questions, right? I'm the one, so you got me in the hot seat.
Yeah, I brought you to the table.
You brought me to the table. And you got me.
I truly appreciate you coming.
You got me here with
It's been an
Jesse.
honor.
Jesse the man. 100 grand from the womb to the tomb.
I told you.
Jesse is the man.
Isn't he?
I want the world to know.
They are going to know.
That Jesse is the man.
If they don't know, they're going to know.
Listen, you better tell somebody. And Lottie Dottie and them two.
Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in for another episode with your girl, Miss Leah Renee. Thank you for all the love and support. Every single like, comment, share, it means the world to me. I cannot do what I do without you guys. So please continue to support, continue to share, and, continue to look out for all the great things that 419 Grind and Real Table Talk have to offer. We appreciate all the love and support. And until next time, mwah.